All right, and welcome everyone to episode 49 of the Drunken Boxing Podcast, coming to you directly from a hot, humid, and sticky Beijing. All right, this month's episode is a little bit late. It was supposed to come out as usual last month, but as many of you know, I have been quite busy for quite a number of years writing a book on the art of Xingyi Quan. The book is titled Dragon Body, Tiger Spirit, and it is a translation of the classic texts of Xingyi Quan. It includes translation of classic texts from multiple sources, and it also includes commentary and explanation of what these texts actually mean in relation to the practice and how they are utilized by practitioners of the art. It's an in-depth book that I had been writing for close to a decade, and it was a result of lots of study and training with my teacher, Guoyong himself, who would often use these texts through the teaching when he was teaching me the art of Xingyi Quan. And my own notes on them slowly developed into a book, which I thought, that would be a great addition to the practitioners in the West to have access to these texts as well as explanations. The book was supposed to come out quite a couple of months ago, but and this is the reason for the delay, there were some issues with the printing company. Originally, I had selected a print-on-demand printing company, which shall remain unnamed, to fulfill this printing of this book. And we were getting through the proof stages when they sent a couple of proofs through that were vastly different and inferior in quality to previous proofs. Now, me thinking this was a mistake, I took photos and informed them of this, to which their answer simply shocked me. They said, no, this was all acceptable. Well, in my books, it's not acceptable because, firstly, the book itself should be worth the money that it's being paid for. And secondly, I myself am a book fanatic. I collect books and I take care of my books. And for me to get a book that is somewhat lacking in quality always takes away from the reading experience. I would not want my book to be represented in that manner. So it forced me to look into other options. And eventually I had to do it hands-on myself and have it produced, which ended up using more time, delaying the release, and in fact adding more cost. But in the end, I'm so happy with the quality of the product that has been produced, both hardcover and softcover, that it was finally released just going on to 2 weeks ago and made publicly available. Now it's being made publicly available through my newly created Mushin Martial Culture website. That's where you can order it directly for the time being. At a later stage, it should be available on Amazon and a couple of other sources, but for now you can order it directly through there. And with that, for the last 2 weeks, I am so happy to announce that the response from the public has been so good. I initially released it with 100 postcards that were for the first 100 orders, but those quickly went in the first couple of days, and I created and extended this with another 100 postcards just as a thank you to everybody that has been so supportive in ordering the book. So the book is out, and for the first week I was literally overwhelmed, but in a good way, with the orders and getting them packed and getting them shipped out and making sure everything is correct. And I'm happy to announce that I have seen that people are already starting to receive them all over the world. And I was also really happy to see that people from all over the world had been ordering them, from all 5 continents, including Asia, East Asia, etc. So it was very heartwarming, and it was relieving in some senses to see this, because it made me feel that the years of effort that I put into this book, and I really did pour my heart and soul, and efforts of years of sweat and training have gone into that book. And I hope that those of you that are interested in the arts of Xingyi Quan specifically, but it's also useful to people who are practicing the arts of Bagua Zhang and Taiji Quan as well, because many of the classic texts of Xingyi Quan, which are some of the oldest documented texts on one of the big 3 arts, have been utilized and borrowed by other subsequent styles, sub-styles of these arts of Bagua, which is a relatively young art, and Taiji Quan as well. So it is a beneficial glimpse, even if you're not a Xingyi Quan practitioner, into some of the core underlying texts of these arts, and it shows you how many of these arts overlap in numerous ways. So it's a useful book. Like I said, it's available from mushinmartialculture.com. Right now, the website is quite sparse. It has the store. It's a full integrated store function that you can purchase the book securely from. There's a little bit of information. I am going to be expanding on that store as time goes on. So it'll become there will be more of the Mushin Martial Culture merchandise available there, including the t-shirts that are currently on Teespring will later be available directly through the website. And again, an increase in quality will occur when I start having them available directly through the website. And more general information regarding Mushin martial culture, the Huajin online learning program, etc., will be available on the website. It'll also be a link to all the published videos, etc., that we release. So keep an eye out. There is a mailing list that you can subscribe to on the website if you feel like being kept involved or in the loop about what's occurring. So head on over and check it out. Otherwise, if you're just interested in purchasing the book, by all means, it's available. In other news, we have released a couple of videos in the interim on the Mushin Martial Culture YouTube channel. Primarily, we had an In Discussion With episode with Raphael Smith and John Nicklin, which was specifically on Song Style Xingyi Quan. It was a great discussion. I mean, we got into quite a few questions from the listeners, from the viewers, and we also went into other topics and aspects. And I think, you know, some of the discussion points have very rarely been spoken about. So if you're interested in getting a bit of a deep dive into Song Style Xingyi Quan and practice of these two gentlemen, which are both high-level Song Style practitioners, go on and check it out. Others, I have released a brief glimpse into Xingyi Quan's Rooster. It's taken from some of the content on the Huajin online learning program that is coming up, as well as some small snippets that I'm continuing with the Guoyong Technical Theory and Practice, which is translations of bits and pieces of his lectures and teaching, etc., which shed insight into various aspects with regards to the practice of Xingyi Quan and Bagua Zhang. 2 of those are out already. Additionally, I released a Senki episode. I traveled back to the grasslands of Inner Mongolia to catch up with Lavelle, and while I was there, Vincent Sung, who is known as the Wandering Warrior, was also there participating in some nadams and wrestling. And I did a bit of an interview with the guys and filmed a little bit of one of the events there. And it's a good follow-up from the previous interview I did with Lavelle, which is going on to 2 years, if you can believe it, ago. So go on and check that out. Now that the book has been released, I'm planning to get back into the swing and catch up on a lot of the Bagua Zhang content that I had been producing of late, and I'm going to continue in that light. So please bear with me. The podcast was delayed, as were other releases, because I was focused on the book release to ensure that the book quality was good and the release was smooth and that it's available to everybody. All right, let's get into today's episode. My guest today is Alexey Chagay. Alexey Chagay hails from Vladivostok in Russia. He is, in fact, one of my own martial younger brothers. He studies Liang style Bagua Zhang with my Shifu, Guoyong. He's a closed-door disciple, and I think he became a closed-door disciple at the end of 2019. I have known him for quite a few years as well, and he's also a Xingyi Quan practitioner, although his Xingyi Quan comes from a Che-style lineage. So I caught up with him. He has been involved in Chinese martial arts for the majority of his life. He is a coach in Vladivostok. He also teaches both traditional and takes care of the younger kids who are doing a more competitive format of Chinese martial arts, although he has a very unique system that he teaches this through to try and incorporate classical elements, theory, concepts, content, and most importantly, function and use. So it's a very interesting discussion. And with that, I give you Alexey Chagay. Welcome to the Drunken Boxing Podcast, Alexey Chagay. How are you doing today?
Hello. I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. So, where are you currently?
As always, I'm in Vladivostok, Russia.
Yeah. So, you're my martial arts, my shudi, my martial arts brother. We both study under Guoyong, but you have quite an interesting and a broad background in martial arts outside of that, and maybe you can give a little bit of history about yourself, how you started training, what you were doing, and what led you up to today.
Yeah, of course. Actually, the story is very simple. As always, I started to train in martial arts because of kung fu movies, as most of people. So first, when I was about 10 or 11 years old, so I watched Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan movies. So then I tried to find some place where can I train in martial arts. And of course, yeah, I forgot to say that at that time we just moved from Uzbekistan.
Ah,
So
okay.
I was born in the Middle Asia, as most of Russian Korean.
Yes, actually, that's quite an
So
interesting piece of history. I didn't know about it
yeah,
until I looked into it because your ancestry is Korean. Um,
yeah,
and there were a lot of
Eurasian.
Koreans. Yeah, there were a lot of Koreans over the last, what, 100 years that moved to the Soviet Union, really.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but why, do you know why your ancestors moved over, where they moved from and to, and what happened there?
Why they moved to Russia?
Mm,
Soviet? No, actually there wasn't. My ancestors wasn't here. Moved here to in the time
Soviet
of
time.
Soviet Union. Yeah, in the Soviet time. They moved here when the emperor's time,
Right.
something like that.
So
Yeah,
it was still the old Russia. Yeah.
yeah, old Russia. So the old history. I think there was like the big wave. I like say I can say like a wave of Korean
Mm,
people from Goryeo Island maybe.
yeah.
So they moved to Russia, and just because they was so close to China, so one part they moved to China through
Mm.
China they moved to Russia. So one part they stayed in China, and the another part they moved get to Russia. So that's why I think that's why in China there are also this
Chaoxian.
少数民朝鲜族,
Yeah,
yes,
that's the minority group
nationality,
Chaoxian. Yeah.
yeah, minority group Chaosian. So, and what interesting, my mom and my grandmother, my grandmother, they spoke their Korean language,
Mm.
but it was like like a broken Korean language. And mm, and my mother, they kind of the language that they spoke, it's like like a mix. It's Russian and Korean, like Chinese Korean,
Right.
the same. So, but the most interesting that when they speak, when they try to listen some stuff or that the South Korean they say, and stuff like that, they don't understand. But and South Korean speech they don't understand as well. But when they try to speak to Chinese Korean, they can
Oh,
speak to each other.
that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Which do you know
yeah.
who in your family, which generation was the first to move to Russia?
Right? No, no, no. I don't know.
So
It's
it's
about it's about maybe grandfather of my grandfather, something
so it's a
like that.
very long time actually. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and then you were in Uzbekistan and
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and
And
then
and we
yeah.
they say that Stalin
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
during Stalin during the World War II, he made Korean people to move to to the Middle Asia, all the Asian people like Korean, like, because they were the first nation that moved from abroad to Russia.
Mm,
And about because of this, he suspected them that
of
they
course.
could work for Japanese or something like that. I heard
I heard
this,
this too. I heard the same thing. I heard it was because he was suspicious of
Yeah,
Asians. It doesn't matter
yeah, yeah,
which.
yeah, yeah,
So he moved them to Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and other
yeah,
places a little
yeah,
bit more out of what we know as, Russia, Maine, Moscow, these areas today.
yeah, yeah.
So,
But the most interesting that during the World War II, a lot of Korean want they wanted to fight. You know,
against who though?
again. Yeah, they for Russia,
Right.
for yeah. So when they registered
Mm.
to go to the war, they lied that they Kazakh people.
Oh, I see. Because they look similar, Kazakh people, and
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting because we saw something similar happen in the USA during World War II because they were suspicious of the American Japanese, so they put them in these like internment camps. So, you know, people can say, "Oh, you know, it isn't a good thing, but it's not unique to the Soviet Union during World War II. The West did this kind of silly thing as well." So, yeah. So, why did you move to Vladivostok, or your family moved to Vladivostok?
We moved to Vladivostok because of because you know that time my parents tried to find to a new job,
Mm.
something new, because there was no any like perspective to develop. There was no any development there in
Right.
Uzbekistan.
Right. Okay. So they moved there
So
for
just so simple,
right.
just
Right.
for just to survive.
And your parents only spoke to you in Russian. They didn't speak to you in Korean.
No, they don't speak any Korean to me,
Right. So that's
and
interesting.
me as well.
Yeah,
Me as
because
well. When people ask me, "Oh yeah, you're Korean. You speak a little bit English, Chinese, and something like that," and Korean, of course. Yeah, no, I don't speak Korean.
yeah, that's interesting because yeah, well, I that's the one thing I know about you is you do like to study language. You speak Chinese, Mandarin. You
Yeah,
study Cantonese. You speak some
yeah,
French. Of course, you speak Russian.
yeah,
You also
yeah,
know English better than most of the people in general in Russia. But you're Korean
Thank
and
you.
you don't speak Korean, but you speak these
Yeah,
other
I try,
languages.
but I tried to learn it.
Oh,
When
okay.
I was a kid, when I was in the middle school, in high school, and which grade is ninth,
Yeah.
10th grade, I tried to. I thought that's my Korean, my language. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have to learn it. But I really felt that it's so it's so it doesn't fit me. I thought.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a foreign language for me.
Yeah.
So I didn't succeed.
And that's also interesting that when you saw these martial arts movies, you wanted to do Chinese martial arts. You didn't want to do Taekwondo or something like that.
Uh, that time when I was a kid, when I was about 10 years old, I saw the the what I called something like a when what I called in I forgot the word
Huh.
actually 广告海报
Advertisement or trailer or something like.
advertisement, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So something like a taekwondo group, taekwondo classes in Vladivostok, blah blah blah. And I tried to make a call.
Mm.
But that time I was like the first the so different people, different place for me in
Mm.
Russia, Vladivostok. So uh, I was very too shy to you know
Right. Right.
so I was afraid of everything. So that time,
Okay. All right.
so that time
Yeah.
I called them, and then okay, hello, the Taekwondo Federation, and then I didn't find a word to say, so I hang up the call.
Okay, I think I've done that too when I was a kid too. Like, you want to call something, you're a bit nervous, whatever. They pick up,
Yeah,
you don't know what to say, you put down. So,
yeah. And then when I was in the middle school, actually that school was that school specialized on studying English. It was
okay,
pretty cool school. So what I can say now in English, so it's just because I learned in that school,
mm,
and then after I didn't practice my English at all.
I see. But your English is good. I
So
mean, when I first met you, it was still quite good already. So,
yeah,
I know you were nervous about doing this podcast all these times because of your English, but your English is good. So you
yeah,
don't need to
yeah.
worry so
But I
much.
didn't say it. You just know it. I didn't say it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I found that in my middle school there are classes of modern wushu. At that time I didn't know what is wushu at all.
Right,
So
right.
my first coach is Russian. So he trained Judo, karate. That time it was very popular in
Mm.
80. That time.
Yeah.
So he trained in karate and judo. He was something like a brown belt in this and brown and black belt in that, and he just switched to the Chinese stuff.
Mm.
So he tried to learn this, Chinese martial arts and blah blah blah. So at that time he teach the classes in my middle school, but actually that was the modern wushu, Taolu.
Right. Where was he learning? Do you know, or was he just self-studying?
No, that time, as you know, in what time is there was 1980s. So when China tried to make the modern wushu to make it popular, so they made it like a tour with the from for example, there was a Changchun team
Ah,
from Changchun
yeah, from
that
Northeast China.
came here. Yeah, from Northeast China. That time there was like the top team in Northeast.
Mm.
So the government of China, they sent them to come here and to make some something like promotion and classes, something like that.
Right.
Actually, I think you had that too in your place in Africa, right?
Yeah, but when we had the Chinese team come to South Africa, it was because I arranged it with the embassy to come and do some performance. Actually, in that time, there was no initiative from China at all. I had come to China already many years before that and started practicing, etc. So, in that time, I was trying to do something bigger, trying to get South Africa, because South Africa had no real official connection with anything real in. So we were trying to make some sort of a connection, and of course you have to go through the embassy, and the embassy then contacts the national sports department here, and the national sports department here, of course, will contact the professional teams, etc. So they came to do performances. But yeah, I mean, you and me both, we didn't know what we were looking for because we were both looking at kung fu movies, right? So we knew we wanted to do Chinese martial arts. We knew we wanted to do,
that time,
yeah.
that time, when I met my coach first, that
Yeah.
time I was crazy about not Jackie Chan, not Jet Li. It's Mark Dacascos.
Oh, okay.
All this, all this stuff that he always do like, in his movies, like like Drunken, what they call butterfly
Acrobatic
flip.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all those stuff, and he did it. So I saw, wow, there's stuff all the same that Mark Dacascos is doing in the movies.
Right. So you're like, this is what you
so
want to learn. I was the other way around.
Yeah.
It was Bruce Lee for me as a kid. So for me, it was always Bruce Lee first. Bruce Lee, it's like that saying about Kimura, none before, none after. So when I was a kid, it was always Bruce Lee, and I was always searching for that. But I found judo and karate and everything but that. And then when I finally started doing some Chinese martial arts in a more professional manner, it was modern, even though I was still looking for, something that was more rounded, like Bruce Lee. But of course, after some time, then you know the difference, and you go find the right place, the right people to train with. So
yeah, of course.
yeah. So you started training with this guy.
Yeah, I started training with him, and because of him, I got that kind of basic, all that kind of ziben gun that we call, with all this, flexibility, all this footwork, all this chan, long fist basics. So because of him.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing anybody can say, especially that generation, the generation that you trained with, the generation that I trained with. Our Jiben Gung were very good Jiben Gung for all Chinese martial arts. So the basic training, the physical aspects that you learn, even the techniques that when I started learning, I was doing Cha Chuan as a basis for my long fist. They don't do that anymore because the rules have changed. But back then it was different. So it was a very good basis for any, I would say any martial art you want to do. I mean, Those old school long fist, changquan, jibun gung are good for all martial arts. It doesn't matter what's because it's just physical conditioning really, and ability, flexibility, strength, endurance, stamina, etc. Coordination, all of these things. So yeah. So yeah.
I want to ask you.
Yeah.
I want to ask you. Is that was easy for you, for the people in you there that time, to get a videotape, VHS tape, and to watch some stuff?
No. There was nothing. I mean, I was in the bottom side of South Africa. There's nothing there. Unless I came... I used to come to China every year anyway to practice and to visit. So when I would come, I would buy what I could find to look at, right? But it wasn't easy.
How did you get to China? Through the embassy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So...
that was like your job?
No. we spent money to do this. We didn't make money to do this. So you know, that's why it was quite hard, because you know you're trying to make a living, but your passion and your you know, all your mind and heart is in the martial arts. You spend all your time and really all your money and energy on this too, and there's no like confirmed way that it's going to pay back to you. You know, you do it just because. If you go in, especially Chinese martial arts, and especially traditional martial arts, if your idea is to invest in it so you can make money out of it, it's better maybe you go to do the stock market, because you're probably not going to even get the money and energy that you've spent all these years on it back. So you should do it because you're really interested in it. So yeah.
For me at that time, I really couldn't get the videotape. I didn't even had that thing, you know, what they call video recorder.
Yeah, video camera or anything.
Not the no. I mean that you can play.
Oh, VHS, a video player. Okay.
Player, a video player. We didn't have even that thing too that time.
Right. So even if you had the videos, you had no way to watch them.
And we had some stuff like VHS video stores, videotape market that could rent the cassette.
Okay. And the machine.
You know that?
Yeah.
No, not the machine, not the player. If you have a player, you can go, you can buy it, or you can rent it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's quite common everywhere. But we didn't have anywhere that was renting Chinese martial arts. Like Kung Fu movies, of course. They were everywhere. Actually, that's the interesting thing about Africa as a whole, is that there is, for many, I would say even before these guys became so popular in America and the West, Jackie Chan and these kind of movies, even Jet Li and all of these guys, they were huge in Africa. These Africans love to watch those Chinese Kung Fu movies. There's a huge... Like, even in the poorest of the poorest little areas, they would get together, like 20 people around a small screen and watch these, you know, old Kung Fu videos, like Shaw Brothers and things like that. And that's not new. That's a very, very, you know, old, very long that there's been this interest. So it's quite interesting to me that there's not more. Of course, you know, as a teacher, to go to Africa, you will automatically think about how can I make money? Oh, they're so poor, the conditions and this and that. So that's why, even though there's a lot of interest, there's not a lot of teachers really in Africa teaching. But there's huge passion.
When you get to China, when you get to China first time, so what stuff did you learn first?
Actually, the first time I came to China, I spent some time in Inner Mongolia. And I spent both Beijing and Inner Mongolia, but in Inner Mongolia, I spent some time with a very traditional teacher, and he was teaching me actually Tantui, you know. So I'm quite grateful for that, because that is good basics again in general. So I was doing Tantui and some other stuff like that. And then from there, I would come back every year. I spent some time in Shanghai too. And just went from there. And most of the time I would go back and just train my ass off by myself, right? So, yeah. Like you, because I've seen some old videos of you. when you were still doing that, and you can see that you were training very hard on your own. It's not like anybody was telling you must do this and you don't want to do it. You really wanted to do it, and you were training very hard as a youngster.
I really believed I had like such a kung fu dream that time. I really believed that people really can fight with those styles.
With the acrobatic stuff,
snake style. I really believe that time that you really can fight like in the movies. Hey, why you looking to me? Hey, who's your master? Oh, you're from the snake clan. I'm from the drunken clan. Oh, let's try something like that.
You hit them on 2 pressure points, and then they cannot walk.
Yeah. So, I really tried to find out, can people really fight like that? And that time I didn't know anything, and I didn't try to think about the effectiveness of the styles.
Yeah.
That you have to finish the fight as much as quick as you can,
Right. Well, I don't know if you, during that period, while you were just beginning to study and you were doing mostly modern wushu and all of these things, and you had these ideas, did you not have sanda in your area there? Because with me, I did sanda as well as taolu from the beginning, so, and for me, even in some silly state, I was always trying to find ways to use different techniques in the sanda, format that I was learning outside of sanda, so you never had sanda in your area there?
We had sanda class because my coach was like a karate guy, so those.
So same with my
Russian
background.
People,
Yeah, same with my background.
Yeah. I mean, those crazy Russian people, they went to, even they who stayed in the modern Taolu. Even they started from the karate when they tried when you have to fight. So they fought a lot. He had a brown belt in judo, and then he fell in love in Chinese, that kind of modern wushu.
Right.
And then he stayed, and then he said that, this is the highest, level of martial art development, as he said.
Okay. All right.
So, and I really tried, because we had some sanda classes that time. And in my sanda classes, so I really tried to use all those stuff that we learned in Taolu. Like what they call whole Southway, or
back sweep
in English.
Back
sweep, like and just not in the in the sanda way.
Yeah, in the stylish way.
Yeah, in stylish way, like we do it in Taolu form.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. So then I said, why? Okay, so, but that time I didn't train in sanda so much.
Right.
Because I like, to jump and all this fancy stuff.
Well, you were quite good at that. You were talented in that. So you could see you spent a lot of time on that. I mean, if people know back sweeps in sanda, the way that it works in that situation, in a real situation, is you actually fall down when you do it. You don't do it like you see people bending down from gungbu, turning pupu your leg. It doesn't work like this. You actually
just that way.
You throw your leg and fall.
I try to make it that way.
Yeah. So, but I guess the hip motion and the ability, you can kind of, if you learn then the correct way to do it in a fight, it'll be easier. But and that's a different topic.
Yeah. And another, what they called, influence that I get was from the Mortal Kombat game.
Okay.
I watched your podcast with Daniel Piscina.
Yeah, he's the original, one of the originals, right? So for me too, I mean, I love those video games. I mean, video games when they came out were also a huge inspiration for me, especially those first generation games like that. When I was doing martial arts, they really made me more excited and passionate about martial arts. And Mortal Kombat was such a an important event in that time for that time. So when
Yeah.
when I had this opportunity to talk to Daniel Pesina, it was like talking to some sort of a childhood idol, right? Like, well, he wasn't just Johnny Cage, but he was the ninjas too, and the ninjas were
Ninjas.
the
Yeah.
coolest in Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat.
Yeah.
So
So
and it was so interesting to know that he did a Chinese martial arts background too, and he did a competitive Chinese martial arts background, which made him the person for these games. But he also deeply studied traditional. He spent time with Zhu Jin. He spent times
yeah,
with a
I
lot of
found it out.
teachers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
after your podcast, I found it out as well. So right now I'm following in Instagram.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. I mean, it's he's and he's still so passionate about that stuff. So that's great to see. But how did you move through your competitor? You started doing competitive wushu as a competitor. You started competing too, right?
Yeah, I was a champion that time. This is local champion, but that was the highest level that we had that time.
Right.
I mean the highest level of the competition.
Yeah.
So I was a champion at the time,
And what was your
and
speciality?
it was long fist and
Yeah.
staff and reverse sword.
Ah, okay. So same with me.
Yeah. So then I tried try, I tried to what I call. I tried to get away to go to China at
Mm.
that time, and then we first time we get to China with my wushu team, with my wushu group. It was 2002,
Yeah.
and we go to the they call it like a border school,
Okay. A boarding school?
boarding
Yeah.
school, uh, specialized on wushu,
Where
just like
was it?
wushu school.
Where was this?
Where was it? It was actually not so far from here, just
Just
in
across the
Daqing.
border. Ah, okay. Just across
Daqing.
just across
Yeah.
the border. Okay. How old were you
After
then?
Harbin.
Yeah.
That time I was like 14, 14 or 13, 14
Okay.
years old. So there was like a great explosion for me. Wow, China and all the stuff like that.
Mm.
And so, but actually that school in Daqing, there wasn't so, the level wasn't so high.
Yeah, it was just a small local school, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
We spent there about 2 weeks and
Mhm.
moved back. And then when I graduated my high school, my parents, just thank to them, they supported me that time. They said, okay, you like Chinese, you like something like your Chinese culture, the language and martial arts, so we support you and you can go to,
Right.
to like, exchange as an exchange student to go to Harbin for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I went to Harbin and I lived there for about 2.5 or 3 years.
Right. And what were
And
you
even
doing there?
that time, yeah, at that time I believe that I can find something like a shifu who can teach me a drunken style.
You were still looking for that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, look,
I believe that.
I mean, let's not kid. If you're in Harbin, you definitely can find drunk masters, but they are masters of drinking baijiu. They are not really masters of what you were looking for. So,
Yeah, such types of drunken masters, we have a lot of them in Russia here.
yes, exactly.
So and then I found my first Chinese teacher. He called his name was Liu Shilun. Liu
Mhm.
Shilun. He's quite famous among the in Harbin, among
Mm.
the Wushu practitioners and coaches in modern Wushu.
Okay.
But he trained as a kid. Being a kid, he trained traditional Shaolin Taizu,
Okay.
long fist. Yeah, Chang Quan. The name is so long, like a Shaolin Changquan Taizu or 长拳 Shaolin Taizu. Yeah.
Usually those words are used together. You know that.
Yeah.
Traditionally, even Taizu, they will classify it as Shaolin, or even within other styles that incorporate Taizu, you know, they have this idea that it's all Shaolin. So yeah.
Yeah. So this is the style that I remember you had a guest called Manuel Papa.
Yes, he was there
Yeah,
too.
he also trained in this style.
Right.
Just this style.
Yeah.
So, but I trained the modern stuff. I
Okay.
tried to know how to do all of this, jump up and do 2 circles in there.
Acrobatics.
So, yeah, acrobatic, high, difficulty movements like this. So I trained there in that. But then I met my Xingyi Quan teacher at that time. So, and then every Saturday and Sunday I attended that.
Where did you find
class.
him? And tell us more about him.
Yeah, that was very, I didn't think that I didn't plan to learn Sini, but one of the friend of mine, he took me to see some place, that he told me I found something like a teacher that, I heard that there's a teacher that can teach you, like something like that, and we just went to see him.
And he was
So
where?
then
In a park?
no, I didn't go to park at all that time because I
Okay.
was a student and we had to learn in the morning. So he took me to like a little fitness club.
Oh, okay.
There was like a little fitness club, and the owner of that fitness club, he was, like he also was the guy who trained in Sini.
Oh,
He
okay.
was
So
a
he was an
businessman who trained
enthusiast.
Sini. Yeah. He was a businessman who trained in Sini for a long time, and he was in that Sini group in that traditional society. So just maybe he tried to do something for the development. So he opened the fitness club with all those fitness classes,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a little area where you can train the wushu
Right.
like this.
Right.
So and
Right.
then I started to learn traditional stuff. That time I thought, okay, I have to know everything. So that
Mm-hmm.
time I found out that okay, there's sanda. It's like another kind of sport. Taolu is another kind of sport. There's tradition that includes a lot of styles. So I have to learn as much as I can.
Mm.
So right now, when you see that Chagay is everywhere, he in sanda, in boxing, in Taolu,
Yeah.
like,
Well, we'll
just
get to
because
that
that.
because I see you. I mean, we know that you're very much involved in the combat side of things too, and
Yeah,
all of that, and that obviously grew from your exposure in learning these things and then understanding. Wait, there's a difference. There's a difference
yeah, of course.
between the modern acrobatic stuff and the real traditional stuff. And there's a difference between use and form. And there's a difference between this and that. So, I mean,
Yeah,
that's the correct path to go down to understanding, especially to go deeper in these arts. We'll get into that for sure, because that's a very interesting component. Because what you're doing now, you're a coach, and what you're doing is
yeah,
you're able to combine these things with your student,
yeah,
and
yeah,
particularly your son. I've seen more recently, because he does sport wushu too, but of course he's learning
yeah,
from his father's traditional background too, and then he's
yeah,
fighting as well. So it's not like
yeah,
these other people that are just doing acrobatic sport wushu and they don't even know how to hit a punching bag with one punch that means anything, right? So yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, of course.
but who was your Xingyi teacher, and what style of Xingyi was it? Because for the
Yeah,
listeners who don't know, we're Kung Fu brothers, but we're Kung Fu brothers because you study Bagua with the
yeah.
Guoyong. Your Xingyi is from your teacher
So
in the
my
northeast.
Xingyi Quan teacher called Yang Yucheng. Yang Yucheng, he was a representative of the Shanxi Che Pai branch.
Yeah, so Chagay's derivatives.
Yeah, the Chagay branch. But as I see the way we practice it in our branch, it's like a mix with the Song and Che.
Ah, okay. So you have some elements of Song style too.
Yeah, it's not like an elements, it's like the way like a funga, what they call funga, the character of movements.
Characteristic, yeah.
Yeah, characteristic. So because there are a lot of things in Che style of Xingyi that we don't train, like like monkey, what they call the first moment that when you have to study when you come to Dai school or Chebai school. Yeah.
Squatting monkey.
Yeah, squatting monkey. Yeah, we don't have that, and the way we do it, like actually if you look at P in Xingyi of Chagay branch, they don't do it like Qi Zuan Lo Fan, like what they call
rising, drilling up, and overturning and falling.
Yeah, they don't do it. They just
open.
I try to describe it. They use the palm to girth it, to girth the fist, and they don't do the drilling.
Oh, I see. It's just directly palm splitting. No, first the drilling. Yeah.
You could see it in their practice. So a lot of them they do it like this, but we in our branch we do the drilling as well. But this kind of drilling is not very long like Song people do or like Hebei people do. And there are a lot of things that was involved from Che style, and but there are a lot of things as well that we don't do that Che style do. And
okay.
The same is with the Song.
All right. What characteristics of Song style do you actually see within your practice?
I see that there are a lot of similar movements. It's not similar movements in the technique. Some structure of the forms, the what they call the structure. How do they build the form? Is more similar to Song style.
Okay.
But the way they do it but the way we do it, like every single movement, the characteristic is much more with Che Pai.
Right, Che style. Okay.
Yeah.
When you
see the order of the when you see the order of the forms, it's sometimes you can say, oh, it's very similar. The order of the movements in the forms is very similar to Song style. So then I found out that the teacher of my teacher, he'd learned from the disciple of Chagay on that famous picture with the Chagay in the middle and the Guoyong in the middle.
It's
and
the cover of my book.
Yeah. So the guy that carries the spear and the guy that carries the broadsword. So the teacher of my teacher, actually this is was the father of my teacher, and he was a disciple of that guy with the sword, broadsword, Fan Yongqing.
Yeah.
Fan Yongqing, but because of early death of Fan Yongqing, then he trained with Chagay as well. But then Chagay also gone, and he started to train with Song people.
Oh, so of course he absorbed Song elements then. Yeah?
Yeah. So this time, but some people don't, they say, oh, your branch is not the song branch, and your branch is not the che branch in 100%. But of course, it's like a mix.
Yeah, of course. When you first started training with your teacher there, what was it like?
I didn't understand anything. Why should I stay? Why should I stand to do all that drunken?
Yeah, post standing.
What? Yeah. Why should I stay there, like that? Why should I spend so many time and it wasn't like standing mabu. When you stand in mabu, I see, okay, I'm training my legs. It's a very deep stance, of course. But when it's standing like something like a Hu Yuan Zhuang or Santi Shi, what the purpose? I didn't understand. So that time, I really was very patient about that. But I tried. Okay, you will get it. You will get it one day. You will understand one day. So I try. I continue to learn to practice it.
Okay. Of course.
So, like this.
What did you find because of your background? And have you probably noticed this with a lot of people that do modern wushu? They think traditional is just a different form. If you do, I do traditional, what do you do? I do Xingyi. Oh, what do you know? I know this form. They think the tradition is just a form or just a couple of movements. Then, I know Xingyi Quan. Oh, now I'm going to learn Bagua. I just know one form.
Yeah.
And then when you start to really practice these styles and it's like a full system with layer by layer by layer by layer, you see a lot you see a lot of modern wushu people disappear. They cannot handle it. They don't have the patience. Their mindset is wrong. So if they don't, like you did, just, okay, I don't understand it, but I will carry on training. If they don't do that, they never actually get the difference. And they don't understand there is a difference. They just think it's movement differences, but it's not. It's not just movement differences. It's everything is different. So
Yeah. I really found out that everything is different, and it's not like just to learn the forms and to go to the carpet and to demonstrate it and to get the score and to get the medal. It's the whole system, the whole school. So that was interesting for me that time, and I really thought that it's hard for me to understand. It's hard for me to train like in this way, but because I'm so curious about everything that I'm interested in. So I think, what if I carry on to train my training, and can I be able to understand it? So I asked myself, and I tried to to carry on my practice. So that time, step by step, I started to get in the stuff. So I really realized, it's not about just to study the form and to demonstrate it in the competitions. The whole school system, and it's really interesting stuff.
Yes,
and
it's very deep.
There is some, there is some combative stuff, combative meaning, but that time, and even just like right now, people don't fight. They don't train it for fighting. Just like a cultural, something like part of the culture and something like that.
Yeah. So you went
and
with
I
him.
carried on my training with tradition and with my modern. And there was a time when I trained. I finished my classes in my university, and I went to the place where I trained. There was first training Sanda. The class started in 6 p.m. and till 8 p.m. and then I moved to the Taolu gym, and I continued from 8 to 10.
Okay.
To train Taolu. There was a time I trained like this. That was quite interesting. Nice experience.
What did you start to understand while you were doing both of these things at the same time? The traditional training with your Che style and
That time
yeah.
nothing. I think
Okay.
there was no any connection. Like
Mm.
you train here and you train there, and you train in Sanda and Tolu, and you can combine it inside of yourself. Some
Mm.
understanding, some knowledge, and conclude some. No, just different things
Yeah.
for me, because I was so so like a passion. I
Mm.
tried to learn this, and but as I remember, as I felt it like there was absolutely different stuff. Right now, I made a conclusion. About all of this. It's not about training Sanda or training Xingyi to just use to this Xingyi stuff to fight, or
Mm.
Sanda stuff to fight. You just learn some way of movement. You just learn some way how to, uh, you know, some knowledges that you invest in yourself that can you realize anywhere in the fight, in the life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not about I use my cine when I watch TV, right? I use my cine when I eat, when I walk. So uh, like this. Right now, I've I have this kind of conclusion. It's not to train in boxing to use boxing. I'm training in boxing, or I train in Sanda to use myself
Yeah,
inside
of
the fight.
course. Of course. Of course. That's why what you
Not
said earlier about your style of Xingyi being like your teacher's experience with both Song and Che resulted in this style of Xingyi coming out because it's a combination of what you learn inside yourself that comes out, your experience, your
yeah,
knowledge, everything.
yeah,
So
yeah.
even my Xingyi, I mean, it looks like Master D's Xingyi, but I also have my own expressions that are different because of my
Of
background,
course.
right? So
Yeah, of course, of
yeah.
course. So when people say, "Hey, when I make some videos and I just let people see it, they say, "Oh, where's Sini? Where's the posture?
Mm,
Where's the bung? Where's P?"
mm.
I really think that's silly questions
Yeah,
because
but I mean, look, when you do videos of Xingyi, if somebody's looking at it and they can't see the Xingyi in there, then they don't know what they're looking for.
yeah,
So I don't understand why they would say that. But even we don't do the same branch of Xingyi. I mean, it's very
yeah,
clear what you're doing there. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
they don't understand that my Sini can be expressed maybe in the straight punch of boxing style, right? My
Mm,
Sini can be expressed in this movement, but
mm,
you won't understand where, you won't see where,
mm.
because you don't understand. What you hope to see is that I'm staying in Santishi posture and doing some bench chuan or zhuan chuan with the rear hand down.
Yeah, by the Dantian.
Yeah, down protecting my head at all, something like that. But if I protect my head with a rear hand, you say, oh, this is boxing, not sini.
Well, that's the funny thing, though, because I find that a lot of people get stuck on the five elements. Don't you notice this? Especially
Yeah,
in the West, for some reason, they get stuck at the five elements. That's it, and then they're like, "Okay, this is how you use Pichuan. This is how you use Zhuanchuan." They try to use it exactly like that. But the way we learned I learned with Master D as well is that Pi, Zhuan, Bong, Pao, Hung are five vectors and potentials. They manifest in different ways, and you see this in the 12 animals, right? So
yeah,
the
yeah,
function, and this is a classical way of explanation, and it's the same way Master D teaches, is the five elements are body mechanics, Shinfa, and vectors of power and potential, and the 12 animals are the applications of these things. So, if I do Ma Xing, I can tell you which elements of energy from the five elements I'm using there, But if I tell you that, maybe if you don't understand that, you'll say, no, but your hand isn't down by, like you said, by your dantian, and your zuanquan isn't coming up. But it's not going to be, it's not that. That's where you're getting stuck, right? That's where people get stuck.
Yeah.
So
People get stuck on the movements, so they just want to see the way you train it with the with the air.
Yeah. How long were you training with your Che teacher there in Dongbei?
So I trained the all my time that I was in China, that I was an exchange student.
Right.
All the time I spent with him. Yeah, and then I moved back. I continued my trainings. That time I was a student in Russia. I had to graduate my university. That time I didn't expect that I will go to Wushu way,
Right.
to make a school and something like that. I was that time I thought about how can I get a good job, something like that, the student, and then I found a job. I went to China, to south of China, traveled a little bit, and then I started. I tried to help my parents to do our family business. So I quit my job and I tried to help my parents. But the business wasn't so good, so then we had to close it. And the building where I made my school right now, it was that building where our family business was.
Oh, I see.
So right now, yeah. After that time, my wife supported me. She said, "You're doing martial arts all your life, so you like it. Why don't you do the school?"
Yeah.
So that time I thought, yeah, that's a nice idea. So we tried to do it. There was the first floor first, and after it. After a few years, we made the second floor. So right now we have a Taolu gym, like a Taolu area, and the Sanda area.
Right. And how is it doing?
So,
It's become popular?
no, that time, because I don't invest a lot of money in that, just step by step. And that time that was quite hard because the reputation of Wushu was, it was destroyed by all those masters that we have here in Vladivostok, because there are a lot of people that tried to start to train in Wushu in 1990, but they thought, oh, it's so hard to train to train the real Wushu, traditional or Sanda or Taolu. So let's do the Tai Chi. So all people, they just turned on to Tai Chi. They became the Tai Chi masters with all
the
of
Chi masters.
Energy. Yeah, with all
the healing
energy, healing, and space energy, the yin energy inside you combined with yang energy, the earth energy, something like that. So it's like frauds. So the reputation of Wushu was destroyed at that time by the frauds.
Right.
It was 2012 when I opened my school. That time we got a calls, and people said, "Oh, I want to make my kid doing some Wushu stuff. Which age? How old is your kid?" It's 5 years old. Okay, we can take him. Okay, but do you have something like breathing methods, like meditation? I asked them, for the 5 years old kid.
Yeah.
You really think it's gonna be worth? So there was like that. But by the time right now it's 11 years
Mm.
already when I'm doing when I develop wushu, so people know.
Right.
Most of people, they know why they want to come and train, or why they want to make their kids come and train. When they come, I say it is a sport for the kids. It absolutely it is a sport.
Mm.
And no other way. There's no meditation, there's no breathing, there's no something like, wow, philosophy, some stuff, only the sport. So,
For the young
like
kids,
this,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you have a you guys have like a Vladivostok team or something, because
Yeah.
I mean you guys regularly take many kids to competitions, yeah?
It's not so many like in the central part of Russia. It's not
Mm.
so many. Just little federation.
Mm.
Yeah. I have a head of my federation, so I'm a local in the city, in the
Mm.
Vladivostok city. I am the main coach, like, I'm the head of our city federation, and yeah. So this quite hard for me to be in the system and the same time to be in the tradition,
Yeah.
to try to develop the traditional way. Uh, of training and develop the whole, all this
Sport way.
traditional stuff,
Yeah.
and at the same time to develop the sport. But I think that I found a way,
Mm-hmm.
and as well I found a way to make it in the sport, in the athletic wushu, to combine the fighting stuff with the demonstration stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can see, my kids, my pupils, they train in Taolu and they train in Sana, but it not starts immediately. So I don't say when, okay, you can train everything at the same time.
Yeah.
What I say is, when you have your first medals, when I see your first results, if you want to train to fight, I can take you
Mm.
at the same time. So I have some kids that are taller than me right now. They do this at the same time still.
Okay.
Some of them, they just started to train Sanda only. They stopped to train Taolu because too many
Yeah.
injuries.
Yeah, of course.
The requirements as they grow up, the requirements in Taolu grows as well, right?
Well, let's be honest. The last 15 years of the development of Wushu as a sport has gone a bit crazy with those things.
Yeah,
It's so far
yeah,
away from anything that is even logical, but it's also damaging to the body. So it's actually very understandable that as kids get older and they do this more, and especially with a coach like you has the background of traditional as well, that they look at this stuff and they say, this is just silly. I'm just going to go and do
yeah,
this traditional, or just focus on combat, and that's it. So,
yeah. So I decided to let my kids to do the first. It's not the first sets, like Chuji, the
mm.
basic sets of Chanshan Long Fist.
The old
Of
stuff.
No, I mean there is a sport wushu competition and traditional wushu competition, right?
Yeah.
So in the sport athletic wushu competition, they have to do some compulsory routines. So
Mm.
as they grow up, the compulsory routines is getting harder, right?
Yeah.
It's harder as they grow up. So I let my kids. They don't do after 11. They don't do the sport wushu. They do just
Okay.
the kung fu, traditional wushu,
Right.
and they compete in traditional wushu only.
Okay.
This is caused by one thing. I'll tell you.
Mm.
My son, he is 13 now, and he have to change his routines. The routines that he demonstrated was 初级套路, 初级南拳, 初级南棍. It was what they call in English.
Basic, elementary.
Elementary, yeah, elementary forms of compulsory elementary forms. And now, according to our national rules of the federation, he has to do the third set of compulsory. Third, not first, not the 国际规定一套.
Right.
It's not the first. It's the third.
Yeah.
Because the rules are
Of
changed.
course, the new rules for the first and second are for the old rules. So they make you do this stuff for the new rules, which is insanity, in my opinion. But anyway.
Yeah. So the 12 years old kid or 13 years old kid, I think there's no necessary to put his life, to put his health.
It's his health
doing
that's the
this
problem.
stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, doing this stuff. And the other thing, when we compete, there's no way to compete in sport wushu championship and sanda wushu championship.
Yeah, because they happen at the same time.
Yeah. So when you compete in kung fu championship, is one time, and then you compete in sanda championship is another time. But this time when we competed, they were the same time. I don't know why. The kung fu championship and the sanda championship for my kid, it was for at one time. So I tried to, I spoke with Gleb Muzukov. I spoke with all those, people in there. Can we do the same at the same time? Because that time I planned that we will go to the Sanda Championship first. We'll fight, and then after some 1 month or 2 weeks later we go again. We come to Moscow again to compete in Kung Fu Championship. But no, the whole plan changed, and they put it on 1 day at one period.
Yeah.
That was quite hard, but we did it. And there was a quite situation that when my kid Danila, he won the final fight with Dagestan fighter.
Yeah.
And then I don't know why, who told him, but he heard that he has to change his clothes immediately because he had to compete right now. So after the fight, he just changing all his clothes and, wow, Dad, I have to go. I have I have to compete. It's gonna start right now. I say no. It's gonna start after the opening ceremony. No. It's gonna start right now. So he just changing his clothes, and all the coaches around, all the Dagestan fighters around, Russian fighters around, they just like crazy. What happens? The guy just won the final fight with Dagestan fighter and just changing his clothes and and put on the pajama.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, those Dagestani fighters, they're fighters. We know that. And the world is starting to understand about the Dagestani fighters because they're becoming more of them in the UFC. So when they see this, they're like, what are you doing? That's nonsense. You're fighting. You're fighting and you're doing this?
Yeah, it's not even fighting. He won the final.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the championship.
Yeah, he won the final round. He won the final match, and just he put on the pajama. And they got crazy. What is that? And just he ran out, and I just see their faces. So.
What was it like this time? Because I mean, it must have been quite a surprise for the Dagestanis that your son was doing so well there. So.
Yeah, I think they didn't expect. I think people didn't expect, and we made it. we try to do it. I always advise him to fight like, in a traditional, according to traditional principles of traditional wushu.
Yeah.
We call it, which the best way to translate, like 灵活多变. You have to change all the time.
Lively and constantly changing.
Yeah, you have to change. So it's not like, because people in Russia, just like all those doing combat sport in Russia, they very tough guys, and all this 1-2 and low kick, 1-2, and
Very set
punch
system.
and kick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very standardized.
Yeah.
But I say, there are some combinations people do always, and we have to be different. We have to do it like like kung fu people. We have to change. So you have to change every time you see something, something wrong. So he did it. Did you see his fights?
I saw highlights of his fights, and the first thing I thought
see it
about
on my
was
channel.
like, yeah, okay, I'll check it out. And I remember thinking to myself when you sent it to me. You sent me the highlight video, and I was like, wow, I see a lot of Liang style stuff in there too. So, yeah.
Yeah, because he like it. He likes this stuff. He likes to analyze. Because sometimes he just comes and say, "Hey, Dad, do you remember I doing this moment?" Because he's doing the fourth group. It's Hunga, traditional southern styles. Actually, we learned it with my friend. He doing Hunga. So he says, "Do you remember this moment? I just can feel how can I use it in the standard fight. Today I use it on our training." So he's able to analyze what is useful, what is useless.
Right.
Sometimes I say, this is like a boxing sidestep, and he says, no. But I don't train him in a boxing way. So just sometimes when they take a meet for him, like meat work, something like that. But I realized that the 100% boxing technique is useful in standard fight. So I stopped to use those kind of boxing meat works in our training. So, but sometimes
when the
I
legs
say,
are involved, when you've got
legs
kicking and
throws.
throwing, you can't do 100% boxing.
Yeah. So but sometimes I just to let them to understand more quickly. So I say, this is the boxing stuff. This is the boxing technique from boxing. You can see it. And he says, no, I don't feel it like in boxing. I just feel it like in Hunga.
Okay.
So his ability to understand, his ability to develop and to think. He always think. He
That's
always
good.
analyze. So it's good for him. It's not like, like a robot. So he just, you want to fight. We learned the rules. We learned all the stuff about the rules. Where can we win? Where can we get a point? Where are our the advantages and disadvantages? All this stuff. We learned it very very clear. So he knows everything. How
good.
to punch, how to to take a punch, just to throw, how to get a clinch. In the clinching, all the punches is useless. You don't get a punch. All these things we learned. So it's not like like a stupid guy just like fight. It's not about this.
Yeah. So he's been using his brain in the right way, while you guys have, and in a different way to be more effective.
Yeah, and when you see when you watch the video, you can see that the first opponent wasn't so hard for him. It wasn't so difficult, but the second and the third, but the hardest opponent was the second.
Oh, really?
Not in the final, but semi-final match, and his middle kicks was so strong. I told him, when they warmed up in the warm up area. So I told him, just look at him, his middle kick. He always tried to generate his the middle kick, and he always tried to find that opportunity to kick it, but it's too slow. So you have to avoid it. You have to avoid it. You will see it in the second round.
Yeah.
His bentui, his like a middle kick, mawashi, is very strong, like Muay Thai style.
Right.
But you have to know, people have to know what style stuff can be useful in this or that situation according to the rules. Because in Sanda you cannot use all the time 100% like Russian boxing stuff or Russian kickboxing stuff or K1 stuff, something like that. Sometimes you have to make a hard punch or kick, but you have to find that opportunity. But if you always is trying to do the hard punch or hard kick, people can
counter it, avoid it,
take you to jet with shuai, take you, catch your leg or catch your body and throw you because you're too slow. So you can use it, but you have to find a way, find an opportunity. But those people, I think, so they do it all the time. They try to make a hard punch, and they
most
do it
powerful.
Every time. Yeah, and their mind, their way of thinking is not very flexible. So that was our opportunity to win, I think. But I think next year they will change the strategy. So this time we have to work hard.
Well, I'm sure your son will work hard. He works hard. So it's been interesting watching him grow up, because I haven't seen you now since the pandemic began. And the last time I saw your son and to now, he's so much bigger. So he was just a little boy the last time I saw him. And now he's so much bigger. So, yeah.
He's taller than my wife right now.
Okay.
It's about 1.5 years, in 1 year, and he will be taller than me, I think.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to spar with them. That time when they were kids, my students, and my kid, so that wasn't so interesting to spar with them. But now, and I didn't have any time to go out to spar with my friends from other styles, It was too busy. And right now, when they get, when they're grown up, some of them the same tall as me, and some of them taller than me. It's really interesting to fight with them. So
of course.
right
That's
now
a good experience for learning.
Yeah, and right now I have an opportunity to train myself as well with them.
Yeah, but you've never really stopped training yourself. We're going to get back into your time after you studied Cho style back in your hometown through this period. I know you also started doing like Kyokushin, right? Yeah, so is it Kyokushin that you were doing?
That, what they call it, branch is not absolutely that Kyokushin that people used to see. Because the people used to see it like IKO, right? International
like that,
Karate, something like organization and something like that. But this is not official Kyokushin. That's called Kyokushin Budokai.
Oh, okay.
The founder was Holland.
Oh, he's a Dutch guy.
Dutch guy, yeah. What was his name?
Oh,
anyway, Blumen, Jan Blumen.
Okay.
Yeah. Before he started to train Kyokushin with Mas Oyama, he had a black belt in judo.
Oh, okay, I see.
It's crazy. There's some video. No, there's one video in YouTube. You can find it. Jan Blumen came to visit Kudo founder.
Okay.
What is his name? What is his name? Kudo. Kudo
I
fighter.
also don't remember, but I know Kudo as the system. Yeah.
Kudo is very tough. It's very tough in here in Vladivostok. The highest level of Kudo is here in Vladivostok. No matter what they say in the whole Russia, no. Maybe they have 1 or 2 champions, but the, all the champion is here in Vladivostok. So this is Kyokushin Budokai branch. They don't have rules. It's like, it's MMA in Dogi, they call it. It's MMA in Dogi. I didn't train in Kyokushin. I just, when they have an exam, then test, some Q test, they just invite me. They want to come and see some, just watch. The first time I watched, and that time we get closer with the branch head, branch head,
Yeah.
what it's called. Yeah. His name was Sergey. Until now, he's a branch chief. Yeah.
Okay.
The branch chief, and he said, "You can come and fight with them to pass that exam." And then year by year, I came and just I participated in those exams.
Okay. And they're fighting
So,
exams mostly, yeah.
Mostly, yeah, because most of them they are the people with a different background.
Yeah.
Some of them were the masters of kickboxing, master of the sport, or master of the sport in boxing.
Yeah.
And they really didn't like all these katas. And one time I asked the head chief, "You don't do the katas at all?" He said, "I do it for fitness myself, but we don't teach it because it is useless. Because only me, with my background, with my understanding, only me can understand what is for, but not them, but not those young people."
Okay.
Some of them, who was a master of sport in kickboxing, kudo, ashihara, boxing, they didn't need to do these katas as well.
Of course.
Yeah, because they have already a great background. So this, like, to get through this exam is something like another, to get another belt, another, something like a diploma for themselves. But for me, there was quite, as I said, I was quite curious about everything. So I said, yeah, I'll try also. So since 2016, I started to every year, every done test, I participated.
Right.
I started from fifth queue.
Yeah.
Fourth, third, second. So on the second queue, I had to fight 23 rounds, non-stop.
It's hard.
It's not about, each round is 2 minutes and something like that. It's 1 minute.
Yeah.
But you're not able to stop. There's no timeout.
Right.
Like in Kyokushin, they in their exams, it. Like in official Kyokushin, they have the same structure. You do all the conditions. You do push-ups, all the stuff. You do like a bunkai, something like you have demonstrated throw-ins. You have to do the ground fighting, something like that, and then and the condition at the end, 100 this, 100 that, 100 that, and after it you have to fight.
Yeah.
So the first 10 rounds is Kyokushin, official Kyokushin, without gloves, without anything, and you're not able to hit your opponent in the head. And after 10 rounds, it's free. It's called free round fighting. It's Budokai rules. So, and year by year, step by step, I passed those exams, and I got to first dan. In the first dan, when you pass the first first dan black belt, you have to fight 30 rounds.
Wow.
30 rounds, and that was quite tough. That was hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
At that time, when when they took an exam for me, what was the main, the main head of the whole Russian branch had to come to Vladivostok, and they had to organize the whole one big dan test for all people, But that time I said I have to go to Moscow this time. That time Gleb Muzrukov invited me to make some videos.
Right.
At that time I thought, oh yeah, my ass won't be kicked,
Was that when I was there too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, oh, great chance to avoid those, ass kicking stuff. People not gonna beat me. Okay, so I said to the branch chief, I cannot participate.
Yeah.
I go to Moscow. And then the president of the whole staff, all the whole federation, calls me. And the first word, chicken.
Oh, really?
Do you afraid? I say, no, just no, I have no time. Gleb Muzrukov, and they know each other. Gleb Muzrukov and that guy, they're friends. Okay, and hang up the call. And after 1 hour, I get a message.
Yeah.
You will pass an exam. You will pass an exam. What they call them, personally.
Oh, okay. Individual exam. A private
Individually.
exam.
Private exam for you. And I said, damn it. So that, when you pass the group exam in the group, there was some ways to cheat. Because the people who fight you, who beat you, they also get they also getting tired.
Of course. And they're there for their exam too.
No, it's not.
Ah.
It's like they just sparring partners, and all the sparring partners are the black belts already.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So you have to fight with black belts to pass an exam, and they don't pass an exam. They just they just have
They're just there for that.
Yeah. They beat you all the way, But when you are in the group with 10 people or 14 people or 15 people, they have to change all the time. But this time there was individual exam for me. So
they're all
one
fresh.
time, yeah. Just fight. He fight me, and he have a rest. He fight me, have a rest. Fight me, have a rest. And 30 minutes all the way long. I just have to fight non-stop. That's hard. But it's not about you have to win, you have to submit, you just have to fight. You just have to fight. Stay on and fight. So I passed it, and then I went to Moscow.
Yeah, that's where we saw each other. Yeah.
Actually, you remember Sergei Badyuk?
Yes.
He has a black belt in Budokai Karate, also in this Kyokushin Budokai, and his sensei is the president of this Budokai in Russia.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
Very tough guy.
Yeah.
He can.
Well, Badyuk is a tough guy too.
I think in the fight that Yuri, his name is Yuri. Yuri Federation. He's tougher than Badyuk, I think, because what they call it in Japanese when you break the boards with your fingers.
I don't know what it's called in Japanese.
Yeah, he can break 3 or 4 boards.
Oh, really? You should teach
each
him
board is about
Chuanjang.
Yeah, with that.
Yeah.
I'll send you a video. I have to find it. He makes it with his fingers. It's 3 or 4 boards. Each board is about 3 centimeters.
Oh, that's crazy.
2 or 3 centimeters. Using fingers like a chuanzhang. Yeah. How tough is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and after that exam, I don't have any, actually, I don't like to fight anymore.
You're all fought out. They took all the fighting desire out of you with that.
Yeah. So I like to have some light sparings with my friends or with my kids, and just that's all. But not so like after those exams you don't even have you don't want to fight at all.
Of course, yeah.
You're becoming an unconflictable person at all.
I'm sure. Yeah, of course. The last thing you feel like doing is fighting or getting into a conflict after that. You just try to become the peaceful person and avoid it. Yeah.
So right now we can see that I'm a black belt in Budokai Kyokushin Karate, but I think that was just an opportunity to get this kind of diploma, something like that, and just get this,
Of course.
this opportunity to say that I'm a black belt, but I'm not a karate practitioner.
Right.
As people like to say, So, but officially, I have that kind of diploma. I hand it on my wall in my class.
Good. Well, that's what you should do with it. You should put it up in your gym, in your school.
Yeah. But I didn't make the black belt yet. Yeah, you have to buy it, and you have to make the logo on it, and all this stuff. I didn't make it.
So what other things have you been practicing? I mean, let's get into how you started doing Liang style Bagua with our Shifu.
Yeah. At that time I read a lot of things about Bagua, how good it is, and something like that. And that time there was so popular the forums in internet, when people talk, exchange their knowledges, but mostly they just quarrel.
Yeah, exactly.
You're asshole. No, you're asshole. Yeah.
It's mostly a toilet.
Yeah. And that time, I don't remember who actually, but he advised me, maybe Bagua. It can be useful for your senior. And I tried to find out who is the best in Bagua. Not the best.
But somebody good.
Yeah, somebody good, because in China, all people they say I'm the best.
Yes, of course.
I
Everyone's
think,
the best.
like as I say, Chunyu is the is the tradition of Chinese culture.
Chuanyu.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically talking bullshit. Or exaggeration. Exaggeration is better. Yeah.
Yeah. They like
of course it is.
So people advised me to find Guoyong and gave me his number, gave me his email. That time he used the email. Right?
Yeah.
And I wrote to him, and he answered.
Yeah.
And he answered, and just so easy. It wasn't like
Oh, he's very
both
open.
know
Yeah.
very open and very simple to connect, because that time those grandmasters like Chen Xiaowang,
Oh, yeah.
all the Chen Zhenlei, all this, they are the kings of Taiji, right? You cannot connect them so easily, right? You don't know the right people, you don't know the right guys, or under you who can help you. You never connect them. But he just just email write him, and he just answers. Here's my number. Just call me when you come to Beijing.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
and then I did it, and he told me his address, and they went to his place and just started to train with him.
Yeah.
That was 2009.
Mm.
2009. I started to practice Bagua. Actually, the same. I didn't know anything about it, so why should I, go all these postures and go circles and stuff like this? I thought, I have to be patient, and one day I will understand. So now I think, yeah, it's really useful in some stuff, but most of them is like cultural,
Yeah,
it's
of
about
course.
culture. It's about art that we have right now. It's not about the 100% fighting. If you want to fight, as he said in his lecture in Beijing University, you have to do sanda. Remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Go ahead.
if you're talking about culture, developing yourself, health, flexibility, all this stuff around this, not about fighting. Don't concentrate on fighting.
Yeah.
Totally. So you have to. You can learn these things. People don't understand. They just only can say, "Oh, this is useful in fighting," but
Well,
it is
isn't
useful
that the
in
common
fighting.
question? Everybody say, okay, so where is these Bagua masters going to fight MMA?
Yeah.
Why will they go fight MMA? Ask yourself this question.
Yeah.
So I'm sure some people will be interested to learn that with a goal to fight, but then they will focus on part of the training and then develop it for that format. But you're not going to take a guy who's doing a full traditional system, he's an older, practitioner, and he's going to go and fight with a young professional fighter and do well. I mean, come on. So that's just silly. It's like you know how to swim, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So why you don't go beat Michael Phelps? Because we are swimming for different reasons and different standards. That's why. But I can swim, right? So yeah. It's quite confusing what people think today, right? So yeah. So what is your experiences training with Master D? I mean, of course I know, but for the listeners.
Yeah. I just want to say, uh, just not so many opportunities to see him. Right now, I really realize I should go to Beijing and spend more time with him. But as I'm doing it as I able to understand, as I able to train it. I doing all my best. So I did some, fixed palms, old palms, and linking palms.
Yeah.
And some stuff with the weapon. It's sports sword in Bagua, and straight lines. What are they called?
64 hands.
Yeah, straight lines, and some, and watching your stuff non-stop. And that time, the last time when we did Baishi, I recorded you doing all these, application of straight lines. Sometimes I just watch it to practice by myself with my adult students.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's not for fighting, just to know how it can be used.
Right.
But it is not the way
you can play with the ideas there.
Yeah. So that's interesting. We can call it like a dance. Yeah, it is dance, maybe. Yeah, but it is interesting to know that during this dance I can punch you.
Well, like I was just saying earlier, I mean, it's up to you to take it deeper. I mean, if you leave it at that basic level, then it's going to stay there. But if you feel like taking parts of it and going deeper into it and and developing certain aspects of variation, application, and use in different. You can. It's all there to do it. So it really depends on the. And like I've said many times, you don't have to do that to do Bagua, right? You don't have to do that to do Xingyi. You can do Xingyi and Bagua. You do it correctly, the right way, the right mechanics, the right requirements. And you can never think about fighting, and it's still good. It's still going to give you benefits for your life. So, you know, this is what people seem to miss. But I'll tell you, the opposite is not true. I don't think you can do MMA, not fight, and still have the interest to keep doing it. Because it's so focused, right? So if you're not actually fighting, and you're not have this mentality for fighting, you will probably do MMA, but only for a short period of time, and then you'll be like, oh, you know what, I want to do something more interesting for me, because I'm not interested in that. So this is quite an interesting difference with traditional wushu. Even if you're not interested in directly maybe going into competitions and fighting, etc., you can still do it as the traditional way to do it and still get benefit from it. So yeah.
So right now my philosophy is like, you know, through wushu you can understand you can develop yourself. For me, traditional wushu and wushu in you know, wushu Chinese, the part of Chinese culture, is a part of the culture of old China, and through this, learning this, you can understand your own culture, your own history. You can develop yourself in languages, like I try to do it. You can develop yourself in other stuff, like I try to do right now. You can see I'm making seals, you know.
Yeah, you're doing seal carving.
Yeah, seal carving. I practice my calligraphy and all these things. So recently I started to learn how to play Guoyong Zhang.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
How much time do you have?
Not much time. I just do it when I have time, you know. But when you see it on the video, just you think, oh, he always, how many times does he have? No, not many times.
Yeah. Talking about seal carving, you need to make me a seal. So the next time we see each other, we will arrange that.
No problem.
Yeah.
I want to make the series of you know what they called, our generation of more sword, less square.
More sword, less square. Yes, exactly.
More sword, less square.
That's the original saying.
The classic.
That's for the listeners, they won't understand. It's an inside joke with a few of us of Dilaosh's students from a specific
foreign students,
period.
not Chinese students.
Exactly. So, exactly. Yeah. And you've also been making some new videos in Russian on your YouTube channel. You've done some interviews.
I found my own format, and I see your format. I learn from it always. Good. I see people's, you know, the program that we have. We are able to see right now, to watch right now on YouTube, like a Kung Fu quest, some martial arts quest, some this quest, that quest. So I'm trying to make my own format according to the reality of martial arts in Russia, because you know it's kind of different. So there are a lot of people that are interested in Chinese traditional martial arts, but they don't know anything about it. And even the athletes and their coaches.
Oh, I know this.
Maybe
they don't.
Maybe
know.
they don't know, but most of them, I'm gonna tell you that most of them, they want to know and they want to learn.
That's the truth. But it's the same like us. It's the same like our background. We really wanted to learn the deeper, real things, but the system,
Da. Like Dilaosh. Da. Yes.
Хорошо. Okay.
But they are too deep inside of the system, so they cannot get out.
Yeah, I know. It's a problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not not enough, not enough money, not enough opportunity. Geographically, it's not so comfortable for them to go to China because most of them are, in Moscow or in that area. So there are no knowledges. The all those routine standards and are inside of them so deeply, so they cannot switch on the other side, on the traditional side.
Yeah.
But they want. So like me, I'm a guide for them right now. So they call me, you are a guide for us, who can show us the real things. And I don't really want to show it like like a host that just that on the National Geographic that travels around the world, and sometimes he just visits some people who doing martial arts.
Yeah. Because
my stuff is just about martial arts only, and I practice it. I know the language. I know some styles. There are a lot of styles that I don't know and I don't practice, but I can talk to people about that. I can make an interview and I can translate it to Russian people, the whole situation about. But there are some difficulties in it because there are a lot of Rus. So a lot of Rus.
Of course, and they don't want you to expose them.
Yeah.
Because if you show the truth, they cannot lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know this.
So right now we plan with my group. There are some people who support me in this idea financially and all the way. So we plan to go to Shandong and Hebei in August to continue to stuff. Do you see that my new video came out about Tanlanshan, about mental space.
Yeah.
I released the first one, and right now we are preparing the English subtitles to make English spoken people to see it and to watch it and to understand
the
stuff about. So this is just the first episode, and we are going to make some about 5 or 6.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Are you going to see Ilya?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not Ilya, because the friend of mine who support me in that, he practiced 7 star.
Ah, okay. Oh, you're gonna go do it. All right.
And he has a very tough background in boxing and freestyle wrestling.
Okay.
In Sanda, but all the way he practiced the mantis at the same time.
At the same
time. He's just crazy about it.
Oh, good. Good.
He knows about you. He knows about you.
Ah, okay. Well, if you guys are gonna come through here, then we should try see each other. Let's just see your time.
Actually, I told him to maybe we can call you to go to Shandong, Hebei. We can do something like
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
we can discuss and just see what we can do, for sure.
Yeah. I think that this is good. And good idea, because nobody do it in the whole world right now.
Yeah.
In Russia, like Sergey Badyuk said to me, "Oh man, nobody in Russia do this stuff."
Yeah.
Nobody in Russia, and I'm really glad to hear this. Because it's like, as I say, it's not like a karate guy who just practice only karate and he, like what I call JC karate nerd.
Oh yeah, Jesse Enkamp.
Yeah. Great stuff, I think. But when he went to China, he just visited some people,
but he has too many barriers to go and show this thing correctly, from a language barrier to experience barrier, to a time barrier, to a cultural barrier, but you don't have these barriers.
Yeah.
So people like
He
you
has a
and
great
me,
stuff.
it's
Yeah,
different.
really. He's a great YouTuber and he's a great martial artist. I think I mean modern martial artist. He connected all this modern, YouTube and the blogging and the martial art practice. Great guy, and
Yeah,
I always watch him. But
yeah, yeah.
all those episodes in China, he just showed us some Chinese old guys who practice, white crane, something like that, and just that's all. But I try to interview more deeply, and I always try to ask people all those detailed questions.
Right.
How did you eat? How did you sleep? What did you eat? What chopstick did you use? Was it a bone chopstick or a wooden chopstick like this?
Yeah.
Because through these details they
Understand more.
can you can understand more, and they can tell you a lot of interesting stories.
Of course. It's like when we sit with Shifu, with Guoyong, and we talk, and he talks about his history and things when he was growing up, and you sit and talk more, and from the small things, the strange things, you understand a story about the bigger things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you can build a whole situation about
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm looking forward to it, so it sounds good. And anyway, it's been a good chat with you. I think it was very interesting to hear a bit about your background. So
Yeah.
what we'll do is you'll send me all of your links that you want to put publicly, so your YouTube channel, whatever else you want, and I'll put them in the description here, and people, if they want to watch.
I just have a YouTube channel and my Instagram, but my Instagram is just my personal page,
Okay.
my personal profile. You can put it.
All right, perfect.
So
We will do
just
that.
2 links. Yeah. So I think this is in whole Russia. I found the method to let kids, to let young athletes to practice two of these systems, like in Taolu and Sanda.
Right.
So they have an opportunity to get the medals, to get the scores, get the records, in the fights as well, in the forms as well. So I think and people really say, man, you're the only guy who do it.
Yeah, but from what I've seen over there, also you're the only one that combines those things. So
that's glad
for sure.
to hear, and I really try to work hard about on this, but I didn't, there's no standard about this, how to train these kids. I just, I go with my feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a constantly
sometimes
evolving
it
process.
Sometimes it's just not fit to him to train in Taolu at all. So he trained it about 2 years and 3 years, some flexibility and some basic, and just changed to Sanda. But only like my son, like those kids who train with me since, since they're 4 or 5 years old, they can, achieve this result.
Of course. I still remember seeing videos of your son in his underwear when he was very small, doing something. Now he can't do that. He's too big to do that now.
Yeah. So. Like this.
All right, Alexey, it's been a great chat.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. No, the
Thank
pleasure's
you.
all mine.
That was a great time, and I was really, scared about this chat, scared about this podcast.
No need to
all the way. I told you next year.
Yeah.
Not about my English actually only, but I think all those guys are masters in your podcast there.
Yeah. No, we're all just martial artists, so that's the bottom line. So, yeah.
Okay,
but thank you. It was very good. It was my pleasure, and we'll chat soon.
Okay, thanks a lot. So
bye.
I'm gonna go to Shandong and Hebei. I don't know.
We'll see you.
Go through Beijing, and in September I plan to go with my adult students to Beijing.
Oh, okay.
That's gonna be a Bagua tour. you know.
All right, perfect. Well, then we'll definitely be seeing each other in the next couple of months,
Yeah,
finally.
yeah. Thank you
Okay.
for
All right.
your invitation.
Okay. No, it's my pleasure. Thanks for accepting, and we'll chat soon. Have a good day.
Okay, okay.
Okay, bye.
Thanks.